Here we go. Yeah. It's time to listen up because the show's about to get you right. Settle in cause you be tuning into ajiujitsulife. Getting to the nitty and gritty of what the game's about. What it's really like when you get paid to fight and train for bouts. Turn it up, turn it up, turn it on louder. About to drop some knowledge, yo, it's Dominguez, Shawn Fowler. About to give it to you straight, y'all, no filler. Pulling no punches, really couldn't get no realer. I'm a flow spiller, recognize that no one's illa. Keep it locked right on this episode because it's gonna be killer. Elite technique with the flows to get you hyped. I thought you knew with Shawn and Drew, the crew of a jiu-jitsu life.
Welcome to A Jiu-Jitsu Life. I'll be your host today, Shawn Fowler, along with my co-host Anton Skoro and Drew Dominguez. What's up, guys?
Not much. What's going on, guys?
What's up, guys?
And in the FIVE365 studios today, we got none other than JT TORRES, man. What's going on? How are you, bro?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Just locked up in quarantine, so I'm locked up in my apartment right now. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
How are you dealing with the quarantine as far as your students? Are you doing a lot of Zoom classes and stuff like that?
Yeah, so 3 times a week I'm doing Zoom classes, 3 classes a week for the kids and 3 classes a week for the adults. Just trying to stay in touch with them, keep them, somewhat active, keep them keep their spirits high, and we're doing pretty good, and it's cool to see everyone on a regular basis too.
Sure. How is your retention since all this happened? Because I know a lot of people are struggling with the same thing, keeping their students active and facing, trying to keep their retention as good as possible.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out for sure when we open back up and see how many students actually come back. Because right now, I froze everyone's contract, so I'm not charging anyone right now just because I can't provide the service, and
Oh, yeah, for sure.
it is what it is. So I'm just surviving right now off savings and all that. But yeah, so we'll see the retention when we open back up, whenever that is. We'll see who actually wants to come back, and I'm sure, I'm already preparing for a good amount not to come back. So I'm sure people are still going to be worried and scared about getting
What's
sick.
crazy is the Rice brothers, actually Tanner and those guys, they had mentioned last week that they were going to go ahead and open up. And they were like, hey, guys, what do you think if we open up next Monday? How would you guys react? And everybody was like, yeah, we'll be there. I'm kind of worried, but we'll be there. But he had a full house today. And so, on multiple occasions, on multiple classes. So, I'm not really totally sure that people are going to be so freaked out. I think maybe a week into it, everybody's going to go, okay, we're back in business. Let's go.
Right. Right.
So
yeah, I agree. I'm sure a good portion too of people like myself, and I'm sure like you guys, are dying to get out and get back to the mats and train.
I'm ready to train every day.
Yeah.
Back.
Yeah.
We have a group chat in our gym, and a lot of guys were like, "Yeah, let's go. Let's go tomorrow." But the problem I have is I don't know what the other 30, 40 guys have been doing. I know what I've been doing. I'm just concerned about what they're doing. It only takes one person, to ruin it for the bunch. So in that sense, I'm a little worried myself. I mean, I don't want to bring anything home to my wife and kids, and as it is, I work with medical transportation, so I deal with sick people every day. So
wow.
Just a little stressful for me. I'm just not sure what I'll do. But
I'll tell you what you're gonna do. You're gonna be at the gym training.
Well, I need to, because shit, I was doing some research on JT. Shit, it took him. He got his blue belt in like 2 months. It took me 7 years.
I'm still working for mine. I just wear a blue hat, bro.
That's funny.
It took me 7 years, but so the outlook for your gym, is it going to determine on who comes back? Are you prepared to wait it out a couple more months, or or you're just going to open up when the green light's on and just see who comes in and go from there?
Well, I'm going to open up when the green light comes along. I know they're releasing opening businesses in phases. So I'm not sure what phase we're going to fall in just yet here in New York State. So I'm going to open up when they give me the green light to open up. And I'm sure there's going to be some restrictions when I do open up, as far as, limiting the amount of people per class and things like that. So I'm going to abide by the rules and try to keep it as safe as possible for everyone. But yeah, man, just waiting for that green light from the state, really.
When you moved from San Diego to go open your gym, was it 3-4 years ago now?
Yeah, 4 years ago now. It's gonna be 4 years this summer that I left San Diego and moved out to New York.
So when did you realize and say, okay, well, I can actually make a living doing jiu-jitsu. I could really do this.
I realized that probably, man, I would say a few years into black belt, you know, when I started making some money and things like that. But to be honest with you, it's something I've always wanted to do since I was a white belt. I remember when I first started training, I told myself, this is what I want to do. And, you know, and when I first started, I was a young kid. I was, 15, 14 years old, around that age. So money wasn't really ever a motive of mine, and still really isn't. Of course, we all need money to pay the bills and, keep life going on. But
Pay for Jordans.
yeah, pay for Jordans. I do like my sneakers. But, early on, I knew I wanted to open an academy. So it's always something I've always wanted to do. But then I started seeing it more as a business. I saw the business side of it once I got my black belt, and I started seeing, competition start paying out, athletes, sponsors stepping up, things like that. And I told myself, okay, there's something we can do here. There's something that we can go, pretty far with.
Yes. You received your black belt about 11 years ago. How has the competition changed from your early years till now? I ask because there's so many young and up and coming black belts, brown belts, and these guys, these kids. I mean, I consider you a kid, and these kids are like 19, 20 years old, walking around with their black belts, and they're just so damn good.
Yeah, I mean, the competition, it's always improving year in and year out. The level of jiu-jitsu is only growing and growing and growing. Everyone's just getting better. Everyone's getting better, and it's all thanks to, the people who came before us. And I like to think that I'm also part of a generation that's helping the next generation get better. But at the same time, as far as competition, I do feel the competition scene is a little bit different than it was 10 years ago. There's less of a fight, I would say, and it's more of a tactical battle now, like, keeping track of the points, advantages, who's going to sweep last or who swept first, things like that, which, I guess is good and it's bad at the same time, but that's what I see it as. The level of jiu-jitsu has definitely gone up through the roof over the years, but it's become a lot more tactical out there in those matches. I'm sure you guys have noticed yourselves when you see, especially gi matches, it's all about having the right game plan, the right timing throughout the match nowadays.
So, JT, I want to jump in on that because I think that the best way to maybe say that is that it's gotten to become more of a sport. Like, it used to be a martial art, and now it's a sport. And with the sport, I think you see the evolution of the athlete. And I think that's something that's different is 11 years ago, it was guys that were like training jujitsu, their mom and pops put them in it, you know what I mean? And now it's like Division I wrestlers that are like, hey, there's more money in this game than there is that game. I'm going to come over here and try to choke somebody now. You know what I mean? So, and I think that that's where the sport's evolving. Would you agree with that?
I definitely agree. You definitely have a lot more athletes coming in. You see NFL players sometimes fighting at no-gi worlds and gi worlds now, right? So I like I said, it's all for the good. It makes me happy to see jiu-jitsu grow, and you're absolutely right, man. Only the athletes are only getting better and better year in and year out as well.
So what I wanted. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'll throw it right back to you. So, JT, with that being said, obviously training has to be different. I mean, the way that you trained 11 years ago to the way that you train now, I mean, it's no longer a jiu-jitsu match. It's cardio. It's strength training. Like, you're basically an MMA fighter without getting punched in the face nowadays if you're going to be a high-level jiu-jitsu competitor.
Right, yeah, I agree, man. So, I've always trained hard, but what I would say has changed over the years is how I've trained. I train smarter now, I would say, right? I train, keeping my body in mind, where 10 years ago, I was just a guy going hard, day after day. And I could do that. I was 10 years ago, 20 years old, 19 years old. So I could do that. I could push the pace. But now I've realized, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So I got to try to, keep my body healthy as long as possible so I can continue doing what I do. So I've switched over to training smarter. And just being more aware of my body, listening to my body.
There was talk of jiu-jitsu possibly being in the Olympics. Obviously, I think this year Olympics is pretty much scrapped.
Yeah.
What can we do as a group to bring jiu-jitsu to the forefront, to make it a dominant sport like, MLB, NBA, NFL, that type of thing?
I mean, that's a good question. What I would say is maybe some sort of unified rule set, or, you know, something of that sort, of unified, you know, organization, or referees, something that, you know, something that would help keep everyone on track. Because right now in jiu-jitsu, there's tons of tournaments, which is a great thing, but at the same time, there's tons of rule sets and all that, which sometimes can get confusing for the consumer, right? For the people, for the person who's watching this, they're like, well, in this tournament, this person can do that, and this one they can't do that. Like, I think sometimes it can be a little confusing where in wrestling, you have a few different styles, right? There's folk style, and then there's freestyle, and then there's Greco, right? So what, 3 styles? Where I'm not sure. I could be totally wrong, but
I can ask my son. He's sitting right next to me. He's a wrestler.
All right, perfect.
I know it's Greco freestyle and Roman. No, Greco Roman. That's Greco. That's part of it. So freestyle and then.
Joaquin, how many types of wrestling are there?
3.
There's
3. Where I feel in jiu-jitsu, there's tons of different thousands, you know. So I think if we start kind of, I don't know what the word is, you know, but.
Well, you know, the NABJJF, right, or SJJIF.
Right.
Joao Silva, Alicio Silva's son, he's been working on this for excuse me. He's been working on this for quite some time, and he's actually met with the Olympic Committee a bunch of times. And SJJIF is probably the closest to getting it into the Olympics, but the IBJJF wanted nothing to do with it. Like, they went to them several times and talked to them, and they didn't want anything to do with it. I think that they're okay. Being a separate organization, but the NABJJF purposely set their company up as a nonprofit to be able to battle this this element to try to get into the Olympics. So we'll see what happens.
That'd be awesome, man. I mean, that'd be a great thing to see one day. You know, jiu-jitsu in the Olympics would be amazing. Hopefully, I'll still be young enough to, you know, be able to compete for an Olympic gold medal. But if not, I would love to be involved as a coach or something like that.
For sure.
You know, a lot's been said about ADCC being the Olympics of Jiu-Jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And you're coming off of another win. That's your second title.
Yep.
The record is 4, correct?
Yeah.
By Marcelo, Andre, and Gabby.
Yeah.
Right? What are your chances of winning that title 4 times?
Chances are pretty high. You know, I've proved that I can do it back to back. I've kind of figured out the formula to do it too, right? Like how to train correctly for it, what to focus on, and, you know, specifically to me, you know, what kind of game works for me, and, you know, what can I do to go out there and win. So yeah, you know, I feel my chances are high. I'm only improving, getting better. If I look at my 2017 and in 2019, I feel I dominated even more. 2019. And in my opinion, the 77 kilo division is the most stacked division. I mean, every fight could have been a final, you know? Right. So, you know, I think I proved myself and proved it to the world that I can do it, and I'm going to go for it.
You know, your last the 3-4 matches to win the medal. I mean, you had Tonin, Wagner, Ross,
DJ.
And DJ, an old teammate of yours. Yeah. I mean, that like you said, any one of those matches could have been a final. That's a killer lineup right there.
Yeah.
I know you were out. You're out in San Diego preparing for that, correct?
No, I did the whole training camp out of my own academy in New York.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
The week before ADCC, since it was in California, I came to San Diego. So this way I can, you know, get adjusted to the 3-hour time difference, and, you know, just get accustomed to being back on the West Coast. I like to give myself a few days just to, you know, get comfortable in the area again. But yeah, I did the entire camp out of my own academy.
You know, I know at ATOS, you guys have, ATOS here in San Diego is nothing but killers on the mat. Yeah. Who's helping you get ready at your academy?
You know, my students, you know, my blues, purples, browns, and black belts. I have a few other black belts too that come and cross train with me. You know, just my guys, man, my guys at my academy. Just a lot of people don't believe me when I say, they're like, whoa, you did your whole camp at your own academy? I'm like, yeah, and I did my whole camp in my academy for 2017 as well. You know, a lot of people don't believe me. And I remember I was actually in the bathroom in the venue for the, you know, during the ADCC 2019. And I think I just won my semifinal match against Gary Tonin, and I was, in the finals, and someone was in the bathroom with me, another black belt. And he asked me, he's like, hey man, so where'd you train for this? Where'd you do your camp? And I said, my academy. They're like how'd you do it? Like, how are you doing this? Like, you just opened up the academy. I'm like, man, I just know how to train. I've been around a long time. I know what works for me and what doesn't work. And I know how to build a camp and build a regimen and stick to it. I'm also the kind of guy who doesn't need a coach in the corner to push me. It's good to have coaches, but I'm self-motivated. I can make sure I push myself and stay disciplined.
So with that being said, actually, this has been brought up on several occasions about the intensity of the competition room at ATOS whenever you guys are training.
Yeah.
And they talk about how intense Andre is, but they actually, your name comes up higher than Andre's because you get in there and you're pissed off and you're like, you guys, we're here to train. Like, this is what pro practice is. Like, if you don't like it, get out of the room. You know what I mean? With that, how do you teach your students to maintain that same intensity?
By showing them the way. I lead from the front. I'm not on the sidelines telling them, hey, do this and this and that. I'm just sitting on the side eating a burger. I'm right on the mats and I'm showing them how to do it, right? I'm showing them how it's done firsthand. I'm that general in front of the troops leading them into war. So they see it firsthand. They saw it in 2017. They saw it in 2019. And by then they're like, okay, this dude knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. And I tell my students, I have a competition class on my schedule. I have a full schedule at my academy. And every day at 11 a.m. from 11 usually until, 12:30, 1 o'clock, depending on how long the practice is, the time slot is for comm class. And it says comm class. And I told everyone in the beginning when I first opened my academy, this class here, this slot is meant for winning. We're going to come into this class and to this training to work on winning titles and obtaining goals. Don't come to this class to learn something, to ask me a question about a position. Maybe I'll show you after practice. But right now, we're in this room at between these hours to work for world titles. And everyone, early on learned that I was very serious about that, very serious about it. So those who don't like to compete and train hard to win world titles, don't come to that class anymore, which is fine. I have a full schedule. I have classes for everyone. I have classes for, the everyday hobbyists. I have classes for the guys who want to get down and serious and on winning some world titles, So that's how I do it, man. I teach my students from the front. I show them firsthand how it's done. And now I've inspired a whole bunch of young guys. I have a bunch of young guys at my academy who are training hard, man. They're putting in the time. And even in my kids' classes, I got some killers in the kids' classes. So I'm excited to see in 10 years the guys that we're putting out from my academy out there in the competitions.
So with that being said, you've come from two major teams that have produced nothing but champions.
Yep.
Lloyd was instrumental in implementing earned value management and building statistics and metrics with all of you guys coming up from, Mike and you and Keenan and Ryan and the whole entire group all the way up to now where he's got DJ and Tim and Jamil and Array. You guys, he basically set a template for everybody to follow. And it took him about 20 years to really, really perfect this model. Andre has done the same thing. Him and Ramon Lemos have done the same thing, perfecting that model too. And coming from both of those teams, you've been able to establish yourself doing the exact same format. Are you bringing in students too and stuff that would like to, follow the way that you guys are going, or, basically to where you're kind of sponsoring them type thing, and putting them up and starting to build that group of guys up as well?
So I'm helping some guys out. I'm not putting them up yet. I would love one day to be able to, financially afford to put up a fighter house and start doing things like that, bringing in fighters and things of that sort. And that is my plan one day. I'm building up towards that. We're doing pretty good until this COVID-19 hit, but it's just
that makes all of us, three of us. I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's a small bump in the road, but we'll be back. But yeah, I'm working towards that as something I want to do one day. But as of right now, I'm doing that on a smaller scale. You know, I'm helping, you know, guys go out to tournaments here and there, you know, helping them, sponsoring some of their, you know, tuitions and things like that. But yeah, you know, one day I eventually want to build up to that where I have a fighter house and, you know, I have a big squad that their goal is to win the world title.
Got it. Anton, what do you got?
Yo, JT, I got a lot for you, brother. Let's talk some shop.
All right, let's do it.
I want to know, man. I know where I keep my gold medals, but I bought mine. You done won yours, so I want to know, man. Like, do you keep the medals out? I mean, at this level, like you've been at the top of the game. You're at the top of the game. I don't think there's a name out there. I mean, including Andre, Buchecha, everybody. You know, like you're a top name in the sport now. Do you keep those things out as like motivation for yourself, or are they tucked in the sock drawer?
No, I definitely like to see them. So like you said, as motivation, when I see them, like, for example, you know, I've been doing home workouts during the quarantine time, just, you know, staying in shape so I can stay ready. So whenever this ends, we go right back to the mats and I pick up right where I left off. But, you know, being stuck at home all day is a little depressing sometimes. And there are, like, today was a perfect example of that. I was supposed to do a workout, which I ended up doing, but I wasn't going to do it today. I was sitting on the couch and I was saying, you know what, man, I'm just going to take the day off. And I have my ADCC 2019 medal hanging off actually my shoe rack in my bedroom. So, and I can see it. So like, it's the first thing I see when I wake up out of the bed and I see the medal right there and then. So when I saw that medal, it just reminded me of how hard I worked to get to that medal. And I told myself, if I want another one, I better get my ass into my second bedroom where I put some mats down and get that workout in. So yeah, I like to keep them out. I like to use them as motivation. I actually have my first 2017, the first title I won 2017 in a nice big frame with the rash guard and shorts that I competed in, framed up real nice.
That's
big,
dope.
big,
Those
yeah,
are
big.
perfect.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. And I haven't put it up on the wall at the academy yet, just because I don't have enough space yet. My academy is pretty small, but you know, maybe we'll move into a bigger spot, or maybe after this I can rearrange some things and put it on the wall. But I love keeping my medals out there as motivation for myself and for my students too. You know, I like when people ask me, like, you know, about the medals, and because there's a story behind every medal too, you know. So when they ask me, I like to talk about it. And at my academy, I have gold medals on the wall, bronze and silvers. You know, I have all on the wall, and I think each medal represents a step to where I've, you know, landed today, and they all tell a story. So yeah, I keep them out for motivation, man. I love seeing them.
I love it, man. So for you being a coach now, I mean, obviously, I think a lot of times we all think like owning a business is super easy. And as a business owner myself, I think that, you know, I jumped into the game really not knowing what the hell I was really jumping into.
Yeah.
For you, how much of a change was it learning how to balance the business side? Because coaching obviously is going to come easy to you. I mean, you're a world champion. Like you know the jiu-jitsu side, but now you have to balance the jiu-jitsu side with you have an angry mom. Oh, you have somebody who doesn't want to pay their bill. You have somebody who gets mouthy with you. Like, you have to balance all of this on top of balancing books, on top of making sure that the light bill's paid. Because, oh, damn, it's the third, and I forgot to even call those people. Like, you know, so talk to me about the balance there.
So the balance is definitely something that is difficult. It's not easy to do, but it has to be done to be successful, right? And, you know, there was, you know, a good friend of mine gave me a good piece of advice early on, even before I opened the academy. I've already announced I was going to open the academy. I was going to work towards opening it. He gave me a good piece of advice. He told me, don't be afraid to hire people and build yourself a good team around you to help you run the business and things like that, you know. And that's exactly what I did, man. When I first opened up the academy, which was me and my fiance, she's a great help. You know, she was actually one of the managers at ATOS Jiu-Jitsu when we were living in San Diego together. So she learned a lot too about the business side of running an academy, you know, what to do and what not to do, those kind of things. So having her by my side when I first opened the academy was, you know, huge. She really helped me out big time. And then little by little, we hired people. You know, we hired a good team. And that's tricky too, though. You want to make sure you bring the right people around you, because I've brought people on board and I've had to kick them out. You know, sometimes it doesn't work. You know, and that's probably one of the hardest parts, kicking people out and telling them, like, you got to get out of here, or it's not a good fit for you. Because I'm a nice guy. I like to think I'm a nice guy, and I you know, it kind of breaks my heart. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But that's going back to another point.
One bad apple will spoil the bunch. And before cancer spreads quickly too, man.
Quick. Yeah, it does. It does. So that, I mean, it's a saying that everyone's heard before, but you got to surround yourself with like-minded people people who are motivated, people who are passionate. And that's, to me, the secret of running a successful business and being a competitor at the same time is just having a great team around you, people you trust, people that you can work with, and just everyone working towards the same goal.
Agreed.
So, JT, I want to know, obviously, as a student of the game, while you were training, like Shawn said, I mean, you've been at 2 amazing schools, ATOS and Lloyd, Irvin.
Yeah.
That being said, like, while you were coming up and learning the game, going from, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt to black belt, were you also, like, trying to catch on to the secrets of running the business? Because, I mean, you've been around 2 of the most greatest gym owners in the game.
To be honest with you, no. When I was white belt all the way up until maybe 4 or 5 years into my black belt, I was only focused on winning and competing. That's it. I didn't care about anything else, man. I really didn't care. I spent 10 years away from my family on this journey of mine, of training and competing. And I think you have to do that if you do want to be world champion. But at a certain point, you have to start switching your mind. And I was about 26 years old when I started talking to myself about, okay, I'm 26 now. I'm still young, but I know time flies, and before I know it, I'll be in my 30s and 40s and so on and so forth. I have to start thinking about the long run here. I got to start thinking about my future. And that's what I started doing, man. I started kind of, game planning what to do, writing down notes that I've learned, like you said, spending, my years in Maryland, spending my years in California, learning what to do, what not to do, what I liked, what I didn't like from those 2 programs, just picking and choosing so I can make my own thing one day. So I started learning on that sense. And when it was time to open the academy, that's when I kind of started diving more into the business side of things and trying to learn as much as I could. But, like I said, my first 10, 12 years of jiu-jitsu training was all dedicated to winning, man. Just focused on competing.
All right, so I got one more for you, and then I'll throw it back to these guys. So
yeah,
you talk about where that medal hangs. You said your shoe rack.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little shoes, brother.
Let's do it.
So I think right now my count's at like 98 pairs. We won't tell the wife that. Hopefully she doesn't watch this episode. I think she gets tired of hearing my voice anyways. So 98 pairs for me. But let's talk a little bit about your favorite pairs, because I know you're a little bit of a sneakerhead yourself. Obviously, quarantine's kind of, I don't know, bro. I feel like 2020 has been the year of the shit release. Like there's nothing fire that's come out this year for me. So that being said, what's the top 3 in the closet?
My top 3 in the closet. Oh man, I'm gonna have to say the Jordan 1 Bread, right? Classic. And the Jordan 1's probably my favorite model. It is my favorite model. That's the model I have most of in my collection. So the Jordan 1 Bread. Then I would say I have the Cement 3s, and then I also have the Bread 4s. So all kind of similar.
Bread 4s and the 11s are hot.
Yeah, I got the 11s too. Yeah. But I would say those are my top 3 models. I love wearing those 3 models. I think they look good with any outfit. And those are just OG colorways too. They're solid colorways. Can't go wrong with them.
Bro, you could wear some pink shorts with some Bread 11s, and let me tell you, anybody says shit about your outfit, they don't know nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
It's true. It's true.
Like my wife will look at me sometimes and be like, "What are you wearing?" And I'm like, "Hey, listen, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing. I can show you a 14 and a 4, and you think they're the same thing. You don't know nothing."
Yeah, I love my sneakers, man. That's for sure, man. I'm a huge.
The other hot ones that I like too are the Bloodlines. The Bloodlines. They were just very simple and plain, but I like them. Those are hot.
Yeah, no, those are nice, man. I like those too. Those are nice.
I hate ones. You can choke me next time you see me, JT. It's cool. I can't do nothing about it anyway.
That's the best Jordan.
I can't do it, bro. Like, trust me, I have a couple pairs. I stock more than I rock, but bro, it's 11s for me. 11s are always going to be the go-to, the number one for me. Then probably 4s.
Yep.
And then, I mean, up from there, it's like, there's some cool 10s. There's some cool 12s. 14s are rare. But
hey, do you have the Space Jams?
I don't have the Space Jams. Do you have the Space Jams?
I do. The 11s.
Nice.
Yeah. No Space Jams for me.
Those,
I got
those
2
were
pairs
hard
of
to
the
come up on,
Concords.
too, whenever I got them. I was able to get them, and they're still stuck in the box. I wore them one time so far.
Wow, man. Yeah, I like those. I had the Concords too, the tuxedo ones, and I freaking sold them, man. I regret it. I regret selling them.
You know what, man? I'll tell you what. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Sometimes you just buy a pair, like just because you know they're hot and they're coming out, and you can drop them on StockX, man, or Goat, man, and you can kill it. Sometimes you'll make $300, $400, $500 over what you actually paid for them.
Oh yeah. I've made some good money off sneakers. I'm a Jordan guy. Yeah. Oh yeah. Off-White's killing it. I remember when a couple years back when the Yeezys were doing better than they are doing. I mean, they're still selling out and people still rock them, but a few years ago they were hotter and more popular. And I remember I'm more of a Jordan guy, so I had a couple pairs of the Yeezys, and I sold a bunch of them and made really good money off of them.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the thing. As soon as Yeezy moved to Adidas, I'm not saying that they weren't hot, but they've never been as much as like the Yeezy 1s or the Yeezy 2s.
Yeah.
Like the Red Octobers, I think are going for $10,000 right now.
Yeah.
There's not an Adidas Yeezy, even if that son of a bitch signed it, that's going for $11,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. I agree. The Nike Yeezys were it. They were it, you know?
Actually, they're talking about re-releasing those.
I saw that. I bet a lot of people who do have the Red Octobers are just saying, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but you know, a pair of like 2011 releases are worth twice as much as a 2019. I mean, if you look at a red release from 2011 versus 2019, well, the problem is it's yellowed, it's aged.
Yeah, it's true.
But doesn't that equal money? I'm sorry. Doesn't yellow equal money?
Yeah, it does, but it would definitely lower the value of the older ones. But I agree with you. The older ones will still hold more value, though. They should. They should.
The 1985 ones. The black and red ones, the original Chicago ones. Yeah. They sold those. They had a pair on the other day online. I don't remember if it was on Goat or StockX, but they were $37,000.
Oh, Jesus.
$37K. And Complex, Drew and I check out Complex all the time, right?
Yeah.
Have you been to Complex since you're there?
Say it again.
Have you been to Complex since you're actually out there?
I haven't, man. I haven't. I gotta check it out.
I mean, I'd just be curious. I just want to see the store like up front and personal. You know what I mean?
I haven't. I want to go to the Complex Con. They have that actually out in California by you guys. I want to go out there one year and check that out.
There's a couple big stores out there in New York. There's what's the guy's name? 2J's Kick. He has a store.
Urban Necessities.
There you go. Urban Necessities out there.
That's Vegas. That's Vegas.
No, they have one out there. He opened one in New York.
Opened one in New York. Yeah, we got Flight Club.
Yep, Flight Club.
Stadium Goods.
Yep.
There's a bunch of other little. There's Round Two. Round Two's got stores in a few different cities now, but I would say those are the biggest stores. And there's tons of other little stores too throughout.
Eminem posted a pair not too long ago. They were $77,000. He sold them for $77,500.
Were they the fours?
I think they were fours.
Yeah. Carhartt fours, his fours. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
Price.
Crazy,
bro. But see, the thing is with like shoes like that, it's like having what's the car that Floyd Mayweather has that costs like $37,000 to change the brakes? A Bugatti. Yeah. It's like having that. Look, you can't drive the Bugatti to the store because some dude dings your car. You're talking $30,000 in paint. Like you're not doing that. That's like true. You can't wear a $37,000 pair of sneakers out and risk stepping in gum and oil spot. Some dude stepping on your shoe or spilling Chick-fil-A sauce. Like, come on, bro.
Then what's the point of having something like that if you're not going to wear them? I mean, that's just me. That's why I own one pair of Jordans. That's it.
I got 90.
I have to be able to wear everything that I have, man.
Not me, bro. Listen.
Why have it if you're not going to wear it?
I've got 96 pairs of shoes, and I think the running count right now is 22 of them have been on my feet.
Wow, really?
Oh, bro, I've got dead stock. I got 2 pairs of Concords dead stock, 2 pairs of Bread 13s from 3. Like, my wife's like, you bought these shoes 2.5 years ago, and you've never put them on. What are you doing? And here's my answer.
Sit on them and pay for college for a kid.
Here's my answer. When my chain's 6 times bigger than this, and I break them out the box, I'm going to be the only guy with that pair of shoes, and everybody else is going to be like, bro, where do you get those? And I'm going to be like, patience is a virtue.
Yep.
Wait a minute. Okay, speaking of this you have a pair of Reebok Kobe's. And, Kobe was never with Reebok.
Never.
Right?
So,
Never. He
so
was Adidas and Nike.
so I have a whole bunch of Iverson's like my favorite point guard of all time. Magic is the greatest point guard of all time. But if I have anybody to pick from, I'm taking Iverson and telling him, hey, you got to ball out on that big dude, bro. He's 6'10", but you got to body his ass. Like, sorry, 6'1", 6'10", you got to be fast, right? Yeah. It's like JT Torres versus Cyborg. Hey, bro, you just got to get to his back. You're faster. You got this. I got you.
Right.
So I've collected Iversons my whole life, and I've got some Iverson answers in LeBron James from high school.
Wow.
Player promo only. I've got some Kobe's that are player promo only. On the back, it's number 8. It's purple and yellow. And the crazy part is they were worth nothing. Those nope.
No.
Those are Nikes. I got those too.
Those are Nikes.
I know. I just picked those up right now, though.
Oh. Yeah, but so I've got some player promo Reebok Iversons that are Kobe edition that I will probably never wear them or sell them ever now, you know?
Wow, man, that's crazy, man. That's I mean, those are the kind of sneakers where you gotta kind of put them in a glass box and just, you know, observe them as
Observe
art.
them against
Wear them, man. Wear them. Why are you gonna buy a nice expensive Jeep and not drive it? It just doesn't make sense. Why are you gonna buy a nice pair of shoes and not wear them?
Look, I have a nice expensive Jeep and I drive it. I just don't go out and like drive it in the dirt and like jack it up because I got 26-inch rims on it. Now, here's the answer to that. It's like anybody who owns a Ferrari, are you going to call them a D-bag for not doing 200 miles an hour and e-braking that thing? Of course not.
Well, you know they're going 200 miles per hour. They're probably not pulling the e-brake, but they're going 200 miles per hour. So it's the same thing.
Not everybody.
Same
Old ladies own Corvettes, bro, and they don't do nothing. Oh, dang, these things are worth a lot now. Here you go. Here's these shoes. I'll see if I can get my phone to. Can we?
Oh, yeah.
Pull it back a little bit. There you go, right there.
How much are they selling for on StockX?
$375. And
Wait,
I bought them for like $80.
Hit the buy button. Hit the buy button and see if it changes the number.
Oh, my 12s are going for $699.
Wow, that's awesome.
We holding on to those till the kids in college. Let's go.
Yep.
With the amount of kids you have, that should be soon, right?
Hey, listen, I have as many kids as JT's gonna have titles when this is all said and done.
That's right.
6.
That's right. That's right.
6. You see, it's a good number. It's a good number, bro. It's a good number.
Well, let's get back. Let's back to some jiu-jitsu here real quick. With as many medals and the tournaments and achievements that you've accomplished in such a young age, what's your favorite? What can you say? Like, man, you'll look back and say, "Yep, this is the moment. This is the defining moment for me."
I would say winning that first ADCC title in 2017, man. Just the whole story behind it, the whole thing leading up to it. I remember getting the invitation for that 2017 ADCC. I didn't even have my school built yet. I was already living in New York, bouncing around my parents' houses, my fiance's parents' houses. We were still looking for. We found the location for the academy, but we were going through the process of getting permits and finding engineers and architects to help, build the academy. It was just a crazy time in my life. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't even have somewhere to go yet. And they're inviting me to ADCC, but I said, you know what, I'm going to accept it and see what happens. And a few months before the ADCC tournament, I had my gym open. I did the training camp as best as I could. And I went out there and, it was the performance of my life. Crazy run 2017. Then, of course, to battle Lepre in the finals was amazing and to win. Because in 2014, I made it to the finals of Gi Worlds, and Lepre kicked my ass that year, man. He kicked my ass that year. And, we fast forward a couple years later, we find each other again in the finals. And that time I was ready for the moment. And I was able to defeat Lucas Lepre in the finals, win my first big world title, solidify myself as one of the greatest grapplers in the world, in the history books. And I did it all while opening up in a new academy and running a new academy. It was just, so many things involved at that moment. And forever, that will be one of my favorite moments ever.
With that said, what do you want your legacy to be when this is all done for you?
I want to be recognized as one of the best jiu-jitsu players who competed and won at the highest level in gi and no gi. Someone who is respectable and has the respect of the community and who's trying to inspire the next generation.
And that is living up to every expectation of the martial arts way, 150%.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like I first started off with karate, and that's where my mindset was formed. You know, I've always been all about the martial art itself.
I got one more question, then I'm done here. One more question.
Yeah.
If you weren't a martial artist, if you weren't training, teaching, competing, what would you be doing?
I would probably be involved in something like streetwear, skateboarding, basketball, something like that. You know, when I was a kid, I was a huge fan. This is where my sneaker addiction started. I was a huge skateboarder, and I was also a huge fan of basketball. And, you know, those two subcultures, you know, sneakers are a big part of it. You know, you have to have good sneakers to skate in. You have to have good sneakers to play ball in. So I've always been in love with sneakers and you know, the culture that comes around with skateboarding and basketball. So I would be involved in something like that, you know, whether it be running, like I said, my own streetwear line or helping design sneakers, something like that, because that's another passion of mine.
Cool.
All right, Anton, you got anything else for him?
Of course, come on, man. I don't get JT all the time. So JT, let's talk a little bit real quick, like you said, for you being able to say you're one of the greatest grapplers of all time.
Yeah.
That's a big title, bro.
Yeah.
And when you said it, there was no hesitation in your voice. Like, I say some things that most white boys won't say, and there's never hesitation in my voice. Never has, never will be, done, earned that, right? So it's the same thing. I know that you mean that because you say that without hesitation. It rolls off the tongue so perfect, right? So at what point did that click? Because I think there's a lot of young grapplers out there, just like there's a lot of young basketball players that never make the league. And they need that extra little, just that little. So when was it, or what made you go, yo, let me just throw this thing out there and say, hey, it's BDS all day and I am one of the best. Like, I don't care. This is what we do. When did that happen for you? Man,
the moment they announced my name after winning that final in 2017, when they said, in your 2017 ACC champion is JT TORRES, and I just remember telling myself, damn, I did it. You know, like I did it, man. I've been on a long journey. I've been so close so many times. You know, my first ADCC was in 2011. You know, I have a whole history within the ADCC organization. And, you know, I've been involved in a long time, man. Like I said, I've made it so close to being number one so many different times. But, man, I never gave up. I always continued pushing through everything, you know, through the ups, the downs. And I finally got mine, you know. I finally got mine. And right there when they raised my hand and announced that, I knew that I just solidified myself as one of the greatest grapplers on this planet.
You know what I love? I'm going to tell you what I love about being a part of this show and just being able to talk to, like, the top tier fighters in the world. Like, you give me LeBron James all day, I'm going to get questions out of him, but not many. LeBron James ain't going to give me very many goosebumps.
Right.
Guys that are willing to go in there and, like, lose their teeth, get choked unconscious, have their arms broke, like modern day gladiators. I get to speak to y'all all the time. And for some reason, you guys always say things that make me go like, ooh, I got goose skin. This is crazy, right? But I think that it's important to get these moments out of you guys.
Uh-oh. He froze up.
He froze.
You froze, man.
Oh, am I good? Am I good? Am I back?
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. I
love that
frozen.
smile, man. Love that smile.
It's one only my mother could love, and you, Drew. But so I think it's important for, like, these moments to come out, because as an athlete growing up, I wish I would have had that one person who would have told me that hey, keep going. Like, you have this, you have the potential, do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for you, like, what was it, or who was it that inspired you to not give up? Because being at the top for so long, there's so many people that bang on that door and nobody ever answers. And they finally just say, you know what? I can't beat anymore. The drum is broken. I'm done.
Yeah.
No, man.
And I'm going to kick it through.
He's broken.
Hey,
you froze at the end,
those
man.
kids, man. You got to get those kids off all that internet.
Time to get
I'm
up
telling
and-
you, it's Fortnite, bro. It's Fortnite. No, that new Alien versus Predator game released. But so, JT, what was it that didn't make you stop? What made you say, I'm not going to give up?
My father, man. If it wasn't for that guy, I probably would have given up, you know. He's always the one who kept me on track. He's always the one who gave me the tough love when I needed the tough love. He was always the guy who told me the truth. I remember there was a point where it was after I left Maryland. When I was living in Maryland, I was training there for 5 years. I left Maryland, And I was kind of in a stage where I didn't know what was next for me. And I was 21, 22 at the time. And I remember sitting down with my dad to talk about the situation. And I was telling my dad, you know what? Maybe I'll just, move back permanently back to New York, and I'll open my own academy now. And my dad told me, you shouldn't do that. He goes, you're too young to open an academy right now, and you have too much to go out there and still accomplish for you to settle down and open a gym. He told me you should pack your stuff and move to California. And me and my dad are super close, and he would love for me to at that moment to stay on the East Coast with him. I'm very close with my family, and for him to tell me that, I was like, damn, that's real love right there. He's telling me the truth, even though he would love to see me stay here and be close to the family.
The hardest thing that people don't understand is that whenever you have somebody in front of you, the one thing you want everybody to do is reach their full potential. Yeah. And if you're not allowing them to or pushing them to reach their full potential, you're doing them a disservice.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And that's why, even earlier when I said, surround yourself with like-minded people, because I've even seen some of my, friends who have aspirations of becoming world champion, but they just surround themselves with the wrong kind of people, man. And, there's some people who will listen, and there's some people who won't listen. And thank God I've always been someone who's been open-minded and coachable. I've been coachable. I've listened. I take advice. I take criticism, and, I take it in a good way, and I learn from it. And when my dad told me the truth that day, he told me, you're not ready to open a gym. You still have more to accomplish. He goes, pack your stuff. You should move to California and keep doing what you're doing out there. Keep working on accomplishing your dream. And I'm so happy he told me to do that.
That's awesome. So I've got one last thing. I'm going to do my Larry Merchant moment, because in memory of Larry Merchant, he always continued to drink as the interview went on, and he always asked crazier questions. So number one, I'm going to leave you with my analogy. You're right, JT. You've got to surround yourself with positive people, because horseflies don't hang out with grasshoppers. You take that for what it is. And lastly, what is the one cheat meal that you're eating right now, like more than you should, that you don't want to admit and tell these people that you're eating?
Oh, man. All right. I'll tell you guys. Domino's.
Empanadas.
Domino's.
I've been ordering Domino's, man.
I'm done, Shawn. I can't do more. You got it.
Yeah, I let me jump in here real quick before we let you go. You have a DVD out right now, don't you?
Yes.
Tell us what people can expect if they want to buy it.
So I released 2 DVDs with BJJ Fanatics. I have a whole DVD on my bottom game. So I go through a whole series of bottom game techniques I like: sweeps, submissions, back takes, a whole array of techniques from on bottom. And then I have another DVD which focused on top, where I'm showing different passes that lead to back takes, submissions, side control, mount, all sorts of things like that. We called it the complete top game, complete bottom game, because I'm pretty much showing everything that I do from both ends. It took me about 9 hours each day to film each DVD. So tons of content on there. I busted my ass filming those. So I'm sure if anyone out there is looking to pick it up, I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy it. It's a lot of good stuff on there, and it's stuff that, I've used to win at the highest level.
Okay. So with that, why don't you tell everybody where we can find you on social media, so that way they can follow you if they don't follow you yet?
Yeah, so you guys can keep track with me and stay up on all my updates on my Instagram at JT TORRES BJJ. Also, you can check out my academy's Instagram at Essential BJJ. I also have an online website, Essential BJJ Online, where I'm uploading techniques, sparring videos, all that cool stuff that you guys can use while you guys are in quarantine.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. For today's episode and all of our episodes, you can check us out at fivegrappling.com. And if you're on the podcast side, you can find us at iHeartRadio, iTunes, and also Spotify. With that, we appreciate your time, man. Thank you, JT, for coming out and spending the time with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, guys.
And we hope this quarantine is over sooner than later, so we can all get back to business, man.
100%.
And with that, we're going to close this down, man. You guys have a great
night, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, JT.
Thank you, guys.
We would like to thank our sponsors, Five Grappling, FIVE365 Media, Five Forward Foundation, Five Superfoods and Shaved Ice Company, Hono BJJ, and the Fuji Mat Company. Without you, we are nothing. For this episode or any of our episodes, check us out at fivegrappling.com or follow us on social media at Five Grappling. If you're watching this video on YouTube or listening via podcast, don't forget to click the subscribe button below. Thank you for your support. Five Grappling. Compete, evolve. Real people, real stories, real life. Five brand.